So we've all heard about Drake suing Kendrick Lamar, but what's really going on? Is Kendrick Lamar actually boosting his streams with bots? Is it the record label pulling the strings, or is Drake just lying? This drama all started after the Drake and Kendrick beef earlier this year, during which Kendrick dropped his diss track aimed at Drake titled Not Like Us. But now it's turned into something much bigger than just a beef between two rappers. Drake is claiming that Kendrick's record label UMG, or Universal Music Group, is inflating streams on Spotify, specifically for the Drake diss Not Like Us. Boosting streams isn't new in hip-hop. It's a tactic that's been around for a while, mostly used by up-and-coming rappers trying to make it look like they're blowing up. You know, back in the day when people used to buy YouTube views to fake like they had an audience. But how do we go from that to two of the biggest names in rap, Kendrick Lamar and Drake, being involved in alleged stream botting? Let's break it down and look at the details.
I guess I should give a little intro. I'm Drake. This is XQC, real streaming legend. Me, I do music, in case you didn't know. I'm here, as you can see, fully intact. Mind, body, and soul, in case you were wondering. Right?
Mind, body, and soul.
Mind, body, and soul. You need facts to take me out. Fairy tales won't do it.
For those who aren't aware, the Kendrick and Drake beef dates back a few years. Actually, Kendrick and Drake used to seemingly be friends back in the day when Kendrick was first rising to fame. Drake even took him on tour with him and was featured on Kendrick Lamar's hit track Poetic Justice in 2013. However, the beef began that same year when Big Sean dropped the track Control, which featured Kendrick Lamar. On this track, Kendrick took shots at Drake out of nowhere, surprising everybody, even Drake himself, who didn't even understand why Kendrick was coming at him. Since then, Kendrick and Drake haven't been on good terms, and over the years they've taken multiple shots at each other, but things were never really that serious until this year when Kendrick dropped the Drake diss Not Like Us. In this track, Kendrick makes some extremely serious allegations about Drake, which I won't go into in this video. These allegations have definitely impacted Drake's public image, and with no evidence to support the claim made against Drake, you can imagine why Drake would be willing to crash out over this. So let's take a deeper look at the exact allegations Drake is making in this lawsuit. To start out, Drake and his legal team claim that Kendrick's record label was paying Spotify, the world's most popular audio streaming service, which has around 640 million active users monthly, to boost the streams of Kendrick's track Not Like Us. To understand Drake's first allegation, you should know that Spotify pays music companies and record labels like UMG, or Universal Music Group, for the right to license their songs of their artists so that Spotify can play them on their streaming platform, and so you can subscribe and listen to the music. That's how it works. Spotify pays the record labels for the right to license the songs. Knowing this, you can understand the first allegation of Drake and his legal team. They say UMG charged Spotify licensing rates 30% lower than its usual licensing rates for Not Like Us in exchange for Spotify affirmatively recommending the song to users who are searching for other unrelated songs and artists. They then state neither UMG nor Spotify disclosed that Spotify had received compensation of any kind in exchange for recommending the song. Let me note here that Kendrick Lamar is technically signed to Interscope Records, which is a record label under the umbrella of UMG, or Universal Music Group, so UMG fully owns and controls Interscope, the label that Kendrick is signed to. Drake goes on to claim that UMG, directly or through Interscope, also conspired with and paid currently unknown parties to use bots to artificially inflate the spread of Not Like Us and deceive consumers into believing the song was more popular than it actually was. Bots are software programs designed to mimic human behavior to appear to be real social media accounts. One individual unknown to petitioner, or Drake rather, revealed on a popular podcast that Kendrick Lamar's label Interscope paid him via third parties to use bots to achieve 30 million streams on Spotify in the first days of the release of Not Like Us, with the goal of jump-starting the song's spread and turning it into a crazy hit on the platform. The whistleblower described Spotify as the easiest platform to bot. The whistleblower further revealed that Interscope sent him a payment of $2,500 via Zelle and was promised another $2,500 and a percentage of the song's total sales for this initial push. That's a pretty wild accusation by Drake. Spotify is always trying to say that they're cracking down on the bots, they're trying to detect them, all that stuff. But Drake is saying that Spotify's own business partner is actually paying for the bots. Obviously a pretty wild accusation there. All right, so let's see. There's a couple other pretty serious accusations. Let's move on here. Drake's legal team then goes on to state, on information and belief, whatever that means, UMG paid or approved payments to Apple to have its voice-activated digital assistant Siri purposely misdirect users to not like us. Online sources reported that when users asked Siri to play the album Certified Lover Boy by Drake, Siri instead played Not Like Us, which contains the lyric certified. I'm sure you guys are aware, an allegation against Drake. At the bottom of the document here, it appears to list the source as vibe.com. Title of the article, Fans Discover Siri Plays Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us on Spotify when they ask for Drake's Certified Lover Boy. I'm not entirely sure about this one. Is that their only source here, or where are they getting this information from? It would be pretty shocking to find out Apple is involved in the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. Moving on, here's some more serious allegations by Drake. This one kind of specifically calling out UMG for illegal activity. In the lawsuit, Drake alleges UMG engaged in payola, an illegal practice where payments are made to radio stations or individuals associated with the radio stations to ensure a song gets increased airplay without disclosing that they were paid. It's a pretty well-known illegal practice, kind of like how on Instagram, if you're advertising in a post, you legally have to disclose that you're advertising in that post. It's the same concept. And this wouldn't be the first time UMG has been accused of payola. Drake's legal team mentions in 2006, UMG agreed to pay $12 million in a settlement with the New York Attorney General following an investigation involving accusations that UMG executives had used a broad array of pay-for-play tactics to secure radio airplay for music. New York Attorney General Elliot Spitzer explained, consumers have a right not to be misled about the way in which the music they hear on the radio is selected. Pay for play makes a mockery of claims that only the best or most popular music is broadcast. Separately, in 2005, UMG was sued by 2 radio promotion companies alleging fraudulent pay-to-play practices. So pretty much Drake is saying this isn't first time they've been involved in this kind of activity. Now here's something that I find pretty interesting. In the lawsuit, Drake claims that UMG paid rap blogs, specifically mentioning the NFR Podcast, which I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with, to promote the song and music video of Not Like Us. Drake's legal team even compares this promotion to a violation of FTC guidelines. You can see here, this is their wording. While historically payola has been thought of in terms of paying radio stations to play songs, in February of 2020, the FTC released guidance stating, by paying an influencer to pretend that their endorsement or review is untainted by a financial relationship, this is illegal payola. On information and belief, UMG employed a similar scheme by paying social media influencers to promote and endorse the song and video. Of course, Not Like Us. For example, petitioner, or Drake and his legal team rather, understand that UMG paid the popular NFR Podcast, which has nearly 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, 330,000 followers on X, to promote Not Like Us and its video without disclosing the payment. So just personally, this is kind of crazy to me though, because paying for promo from rap blogs and Instagram pages and stuff like that, that's been done for years. You know, when you see a Ken Carson promo on Instagram or something, you know, it doesn't say paid for by Interscope Records. It's never been like that. So I don't know what they're trying to get at here, what their point is. I mean, is Drake saying that him and his camp have never paid for any IG promo from Rap TV or anything like that? I'm just not sure about that. So that's kind of crazy. Like, Drake is trying to put an end to IG promo. He's coming for us, man. So a few more important points that Drake and his legal team made here. In a sea change for UMG's internal policy, UMG removed the song's copyright restrictions on YouTube and Twitch, thereby whitelisting the song for the first time in UMG history, which further incentivized influencers to spread the song. Drake's legal team points out UMG's schemes to artificially inflate the popularity of Not Like Us were motivated, at least in part, by the desire of executives at Interscope to maximize their own profits. So they're claiming this is the record labels doing, you know, the executives, the CEOs, they're trying to get that bag, that corporate money. He said UMG executives have an annual incentive program to which they are rewarded for meeting and surpassing sales and profit projections, among other metrics. The incentives are largely based on the specific UMG division rather than the performance of UMG more generally. For example, the annual incentive or bonus of Interscope CEO John Janik is based 90% on the financial success of Interscope and only 10% on the financial success of UMG generally. I mean, that just makes sense. He's saying annual incentive for Interscope CEO is based 90% on Interscope. That makes sense to me. I don't get what he's getting at here. Thus, Mr. Janik and other executives at Interscope have been incentivized to maximize the financial success of Interscope through the promotion of Not Like Us. Honestly, that one, I don't really get how that's very significant. Obviously, if you're the CEO of a company, you're going to be incentivized to try and make the company do well. I guess maybe Drake is implying that they should be promoting all artists fairly. They shouldn't prioritized one artist because they think they could make the bag off of that. And finally, they claim that UMG has taken steps to conceal its efforts, including but not limited to terminating employees associated with or perceived as having loyalty to Drake. That's a pretty heavy accusation, saying that they fired people in the company because they were associated with Drake. That's pretty crazy if true. Drake has repeatedly sought to engage UMG in discussions to resolve the ongoing harm he has suffered as a result of their actions. UMG refused to engage in negotiations and insisted that they are not responsible. Instead, UMG has pointed the finger at Mr. Duckworth, or Kendrick Lamar rather, and insisted that Drake should initiate legal action against Kendrick. Drake states they even threatened to bring their own legal claims against Mr. Duckworth or Kendrick Lamar if Drake were to pursue claims against them. So apparently Drake and his legal team are stating that UMG is not taking any liability for this. Essentially, they're saying they're not involved to take it up with Kendrick Lamar. Apparently, if Drake were to sue UMG, they would then sue Kendrick. And this is all coming from Drake, so who knows if UMG actually stands on this. One interesting thing is Drake is actually partially signed to Republic Records, which is another umbrella company under Universal Music Group, just like Interscope. So he's in a way, quite literally suing his own record label